being able to showcase the great work that's out here in the field and hopefully inspire you to either use some of the techniques or patterns that they're displaying today. Hello, good morning, afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining from whatever place or time zone that you are in. Since the pandemic turned all events and conferences into an excuse to really grow your hair out or, ditch the sport coat or learn to play the guitar, let's just take a moment to remember the long walks in uncomfortable shoes and rejected expense reports. This is AEM Rock Star, number 5. Or as branding would like us to say, Experience Manager Rock Star. My name is Darren Kunze, co-creator of this event, along with Kaushal, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later. I would have never imagined that we would have reached year number 5, and 2 of the 5 events would have been broadcast here from my basement office. With a little luck and health and safety of all of our attendees in mind, we will be back in person soon, wearing those uncomfortable shoes and expensing things to a credit card that hasn't been used in years. So here's to fun times ahead. Now on to the business at hand. If you don't know about AEM Rock Star, it's a curated collection of AEM-centric presentations that will be presented to our participants or by our participants. You can ask any question you want in the chat pod, whichever direction it is here. There's also a Q&A pod. I suggest using that. And we'll get to all of them as time permits. Each participant will be standing by live, so they're actually on here live to answer them in real time while their presentation is playing. At the end of the presentations, there will be a chance to do live Q&A that Kaushal will be hosting with all the participants to inform you better to who you would vote for. And that's right, you get to pick the winner. So no judges this year, you are the judge. You can use any voting criteria you want. I recommend judging based on usefulness to you and your colleagues. Although if any of the participants' grandparents are on the call, I wouldn't fault you for voting for your grandson. So why should you vote, you ask? So 1, it's the right thing to do. And 2, we're giving every attendee, that's right, every attendee, one of these handy dandy AEM Rockstar t-shirts free, shipping worldwide with a limited number of availability. So if we go over the limit, but it looks like we'll be fine. I know some of you are actually going to have to buy your own t-shirts these days since the whole conference circuit shut down. In this instance, you won't have to. I believe we have 4 color options that you can choose from, and some of our attendee or participants today have the shirts on themselves, so maybe you'll see some of those color choices as they pop up. The link to sign up for these t-shirts here will be shown after the voting opens up later in the presentation. So you have to wait to get access to the shirt link, which will also be time limited. It will not be available tomorrow. And sorry, Adobe employees, you are not eligible currently. So enough with the chit chat here. Let's get on with the show and introduce our first participants. So Shobit and Sham. Hey, Sham.
Hello. Yes. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Sham from Palo Alto Networks.
Hey, Shobit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shobit Kumar, and we are presenting today Drive Engagement with Google Core Web Vitals.
Awesome. All right, Heather, let's show the video.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shama Sanchikegoda. I'm a solution architect at Palo Alto Networks. With me, I have Shobit Kumar, our front-end expert. I would like to thank Adobe for this great opportunity. I also like to thank everyone for your time. Hope you're doing good. I also like to congratulate Josh and Matthias. Hey, Shobit, how are you?
Hi, Sham. All is well.
You look worried.
You should be too. As you know, Google has figured out how to track locations, read emails, listen to conversations, and track the site we visit. I would have been okay if they stopped there, but they went a step ahead and decided to put the lives of developers like me at risk.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Well, in the last month, Google rolled out Core by Vital as a ranking factor for their search algorithm. And the latest Core by Vital will focus on three aspects of user experience: loading, interactivity, and visual stability. Now imagine what my mandate from a manager is.
Well, most of our digital ecosystem looks similar. We may have website built on popular CMS like Adobe Experience Manager or WordPress, and we'll be securing our websites using Apache web servers or similar one. Also, to increase the capacity and reliability, we might be using the load balancers. And to reduce the gap between the actual users and the servers, you might be using the CDNs, in our case, Akamai. So performance tuning can be done in one layer or all the layers. So Shobit, for the Google Web Vital assessment, which is based out of data collected from the opted-in Google Chrome users, and for additional insights, we can use Adobe Analytics or Impulse.
Well, we are using Page Insight tool that suggests how to make pages faster.
Oh, if you already have the tool exists, what kind of challenges are you facing from the development side?
We are facing a couple of challenges with Core by Vitals. Score on the Chrome Lightbox plugin looks good, but results from the real devices are not passing Web Vital assessment. I want to know more details about what is happening in actual devices. Moreover, spending time to get reports from online tools like Page Insight and translating them into actionable insight is very time consuming and resource intensive. The twist comes here. By the time we are done, we are ready with another redesign and cycle starts all over. At this particular moment of time, I just wish I could get my hands on Aladdin's magic lamp and ask for a tool that show me how our web pages are performing.
Well, I cannot help you to look for your Aladdin's magic lamp, but I promise I can do better than that. Um, Before we proceed further, for the audience here, let's explain what our three core web vitals are. FID, it's a measurement of it's a metrics that measures the time taken when user first interacts with your web page to the time it takes for browsers to interact, to respond to your interactions. Similarly, cumulative layout shift is a metrics that measures and quantify how various piece of content, be it the image, video, ads, jumps around as the page is loading. Finally, LCP is a matrix that measures time taken for the largest bit of information of the page to get loaded and ready for the interaction. To see in action, I have the page. Let me load the page. And while I haven't interacted with the page yet, what I will do is I will try to subscribe for our newsletter. And you can see that I haven't inputted yet. So let me enter my email ID. And you can see that it took 2.5 seconds. So this is the metrics for the first input delay.
That's correct.
Okay, now the second one, I do have the video recorded and the page is loaded and you can see that there already is some shift and the score was 0.098. And let me play the video and you can monitor at the bottom of the screen, pop-up comes and pushes the content and the cumulative layout shift gets recalculated again. In these examples, it got recalculated and score went from good to needs improvement or poor.
That's correct. Visual stability matters. And I would like to add about CLS. CLS is the lifespan of the page and not only at page load.
Yes, that is correct. Finally, LCP is the largest piece of content it takes for page to be ready and interactive, in this example, the one I am highlighting is the largest content, and how long it takes to be ready and interactivity is the measure of LCP.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, perfect. Now we know all three metrics. What I'll be doing is I'll be showing you the tool which Shobit is using, and I also like this tool. While it is trying to calculate and pull the information, what I will do is I go and install the Magic Lab, the package, and you can see that the package is already installed. And in order to use the data which Google already collected, you need a key. Go and get a key. Once you have the key ready, all you need to do is go to OSGI configuration and input the acquired key from the previous step. This will let you pull data for all the pages on your site. Additionally, you want to compare against the entire domain, so you can have uh, the domain name listed. Of course, you will have some reference site you want to use and compare. You can input it, and of course, our friends sites also, we will mention it. Once you have the API key updated, you can map your paths to the domain. In case if you're hosting your AEM with multiple domains, you can configure as many domains you're hosting. Once this one-time setup is done, go to your sites panel and open any page. In this example, I'm opening our home page, and let's see what happens. So the page is loading. As the page is loaded, you might have noticing without manually running, field data is available in front of you right away. So it says it needs 2.612. Let's see what the online tool says, and you can see that the LCP is 2.6, and it gives you a indications where you need improvement. That's number one. Number two, it also provides you the details of the other factors. So in this example, we know mobile is the problem, whether it's a tablet or any other thing. What's happening on our site is on 4G, we are doing good. I think the issue is on the 3G, and that way it simplified our developer where they need to tweak the settings. That's second. Number three, so what we have done is once we analyzed the performance tweaking and all, we do updated our lab data. So what you're seeing here is we do have our own internal lighthouse running, and the minute the developers check in the code, our creative team upload the images, and the value gets recalculated. That way it helps us how each and every actions affecting the sites, rather than waiting for 28 days to see the effect of the change. Next, if you want to know the details of the domain, that's also available here, and you can compare with our friend sites or your good reference sites to see what's happening. And this is our home page. Now let me go to the different page and see if the score is same or different. As you can see here, it started showing the data for the particular page. Another interesting challenge is, especially for the protected pages, the online tools might give you the performance improvements for your login page rather than the actual protected page. By having this one, it helps you to find the field data even for the protected pages without depending on any other tools. Finally, we are using other CMS for our blog, which is WordPress. We do have the similar field information available for us to do the improvements.
Wow, Shyam, I'm really impressed with this magic. I think we can easily use this at every level, from development to training our creative and content production teams to identify any performance problem at the page creation time.
I'm glad you liked it. Let me recap.
Before you recap, Shyam, I have a question. Google Crux public data set provides stats only for opt-in Chrome users? And what about other browsers and non-opt-in Chrome, non-opt-in user stats?
That's a great question. So in this example, what I'll do is let me just open our homepage again. And what we're doing internally is we are pulling inside for the other browsers from tools like Impulse in this case. You can see that we are pulling last 7 days how we are doing the site wide, and it's going to give me how we are performing well. So this includes all the browsers. And the additional benefit we can do is as we do the performance tweaking, we can look for other business metrics also, like how is our bounce rate doing and how the people interacting. That's an interesting thing, but yes, all those data can be put in. Now, going back to my recap.
Sorry, Shyam. Sorry for interruption. I have another question. I promise this is going to be my last question. What benefits are you seeing with this?
Well, first and foremost, you rank higher on the Google search. And when we started implementing, doing the performance tweaking, what we did is our search visibility increased 35% and organic traffic growth 160 month over month consistently. Apart from the organic, we also, what we see is huge spike in our site engagement with the time spent in page click rate increased by 123% and 97% respectively. Of course, this helps to reduce the bounce rate by 7%. To recap quickly, install the package, check page level performance of each and every page. The sample page does not provide you the integration with the lab data or the Akamai Impulse, but you get an idea that where you can get started and tweak it. Second, once you have the field data available, you know that your lab setting needs to be changed. So tweak it to match your realistic field data. Finally, if you have any other analytics tool used, you can integrate and pull the data to see more insights, which is meaningful to you. Finally, we can, the way we integrated with the Lighthouse to see the performance impact right away rather than waiting for the 28 days is really a big plus. On top of it, there are many things we can do in the tool, but our next step, what we are doing on Palo Alto Networks is to show the page ranking there. That's what we are hoping for, but surely tons of idea to do.
Wow, this is amazing. First of all, on behalf of all the developers here, let me thank you for this demo. And Shyam, you are every developer's genie. You have basically saved me from Google and of course from my manager. And this particular time, Shyam, if you don't mind, I need your favor. For next year AEM Rock Star session, please think of something to save me from my wife too.
Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you find this useful. See you.
Wow, that was pretty cool. So next up is our number 2 slot here. We have Matthias. So Matthias.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Matthias, how you doing?
Good, good. So I'm going to show a little bit an extension about AEM authoring, specifically about how to work as an author with your team on the same content page, which normally in AEM you probably shouldn't be doing.
Fantastic. Heather, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi everyone. In this presentation, we'll focus on live collaboration during AEM page authoring. First, we will look at the benefits that this offers to users and how AEM supports it. Then we'll jump right into AEM for a demo of an AEM extension, and we'll explore different use cases from content author perspective. After the demo, we'll get to geek out a little and look behind the scenes of the extension, how its key concepts work, and how you can very easily add it to your own projects. Let's get started. Building a website that's appealing and meaningful to your target audiences is no easy job and requires people with very different backgrounds and many different roles to work together in the system. Page authoring is just one step in the content publishing process, but it interfaces the most with the content management system. Having the ability to collaborate on page creation and updates in real time brings unique benefits to the team. The most obvious one is scalability. By assigning multiple authors to a page, critical changes can be applied faster, and pages can be released quicker. The review process benefits from real-time feedback of the reviewer and immediately visible changes of the author. And having a framework in place that not only shows you who is currently active on a page, but also protects you from accidentally overwriting each other's work adds a safeguard to the team. AEM offers authoring teams tools and features to support them along this process. Think, for example, about workflows, roles and permissions, or even annotations. However, none of those tools support the ability to author content pages together. It's typically around organizing the work into items that are assigned by one user at a time. The same applies to the page authoring UI, which is still a great tool for the authors, but doesn't support concurrent editing of the same page. These limitations include that you never know what the page looks at the moment after the initial page load. It never is refreshed. You also risk losing your work if you start editing concurrently, because people can open dialogues at the same time and overwrite each other. It's also not known who is actually editing a page, and there is no way to give feedback to somebody else working on the page at the same time. Teams deal differently with these limitations. One approach is to lock pages when editing. So this is an AEM feature, and if you lock a page, only the person that acquired the lock can make any changes on this page. Of course, it solves the concurrency problem, but it doesn't give any opportunity for multiple people to work on the page at the same time. And if you ever try to unlock a page while that person was on vacation, you know that it's not that easy to actually get rid of them. Most of the time, though, teams try to solve this through process. So, for example, assigning a page only to one person at a time. Or if they feel risky, they might even assign multiple people to a page, but divide it by page sections. This does introduce some level of collaboration if they chose the latter. However, it's of course completely up to the author. So it's very risky, right? It requires strong authoring training, and it gets pretty complicated quickly. None of these are ideal. Now, let's take a look at another approach, which enables authors to work on content pages at the same time. This demo shows an AEM Sites author extension that adds concurrent page editing capabilities to the system. The demo is running on AEM as a cloud service SDK. However, the extension can also get deployed to AEM 6.5. Okay, so to simulate the concurrent authoring of a single content page, we're going to simulate this with two users here. So I have on the left side a browser open with Iris, and on the right side with Carrie. On the left it's a Chrome, on the right side it's an Edge browser. Doesn't really make a ton of difference as long as it's a modern browser. Okay, so the page we're going to do this with is in the weekend side, and it's a page I created called Islands. So let's open this up. So far, this page looks pretty bland, but we'll work on spicing it up a little now. On the bottom left of the screen, you already see the first new element. This is the user indicator that shows you which user is currently authoring on this page. So in this case, since I just opened it with Iris, that's the only user being displayed here. Okay, so let's do the same thing on the right side. Okay, before I actually open this, there's one new information here in the preview pane about this page, which is live editors. That is an additional data field here showing who the currently active authors on this page are. It's the same data that gets displayed in the user indicator on the bottom left, but you can see that without even opening the page. So now we're going to go ahead and, as Carrie here, open this page for authoring as well. And if you see at the bottom left of each browser, you see the user indicator, but in this case, the user indicator now shows both users active. So even on the left side, this indicator got updated instantaneously while I joined the page. As a first improvement on this page, I think an image would be nice. Here on top of the page, there is the teaser component, which does support images. So let's open the content finder. And for this teaser component, the dialog. All right, did you see what happened there on the right side? The component got leased because I opened the dialog. in one of the browsers here on the left. Every other browser that has this page open for editing will see a lease on this component, and they can't open this dialog. They can't move the component. They can't delete it. It's essentially locked for a single user, and this is to prevent concurrency issues where users would be overriding each other with having dialogues open at the same time. Okay, so if I cancel this, for example, it's released immediately. The component is again available for editing. But we wanted to change something here, so let's open it back up, drag it up an image, and this content got refreshed immediately, even on the right side here in the browser that actually didn't do any manual operation. So what happens is that the content update gets stored on the server. The server detects that there is a change on the page and notifies all browsers that have this page open to refresh that section of the page. So it's not doing a full page reload, no manual intervention, it's just reloading that part of the page. Although this does look already better, I actually wanted to take this image because of some different perspective. So in the style system, on the teaser component on the weekend side, there's actually different crop options for the hero image. So in this case, I'm going to choose hero image top. And there you go. This is what I intended initially. So what happened here was that I changed the content of the page, but I didn't change it through a dialog update. I changed it through a style system change. Even those changes are immediately recognized server-side, broadcasted to the browsers, and then they re-render that part of the page. So it works for the style system as well. One thing I just realized is that there is actually a breadcrumb component sitting at the bottom of this page. That belongs, of course, to the top of this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop this here to the top. And it refreshed on both sides again. So this doesn't only work for updates of content, it also works for moving of content, including just a targeted reload of certain sections on the page. So not the whole page has to be reloaded, even in a move operation. Okay, as a next step, I'm going to add a new component here. So I'm going to take an image list component. And one thing you might have seen here as well is that the image list placeholder got inserted even on the other browser. So this is just the same as you have with an existing component that actually has content. If you insert a new component, it's immediately recognized, immediately inserted, and also immediately usable. So I can actually open up this dialog of this newly inserted component, make a setting here, let's say 6 max items. And there you go, content updates, of course, we've seen that before, works flawlessly and immediately on both sides. The page has actually improved a lot so far. I still think there's a little bit layouting updates that we can make. So first thing is this text is a little bit too small. So let's change this to default. Yep, looks better. And again, style system update recognized on both sides. Now maybe we should do some layouting. So what I'm going to do is this text component here, I'm going to make it smaller. And then the same thing I'm going to do for this image list component. So now it's side by side. And see, all of these changes, including layouting, happens in real time on both sides at the same time. So far, so good on the content changes. Often in a publishing workflow, though, it's also about reviews and the feedback process, collaboration with reviewers and authors, essentially on a single page. So what I'm going to do is, as a reviewer here on the right side, I'm going to take a close look at the page and I'm going to add some feedback. And one thing I notice is that this text is obviously not what's desired for the live page. So I'm going to go into the annotation layer. I'm going to add an annotation. And see this here on the left side. There's a notification that new updated annotations are available. This signals to the user, even though they're not currently active in the annotation layer, that a new annotation has been added, because that's what AEM actually does. At the time that I insert this annotation here, it already saves it to the server. And so this badge here at the top of the screen for the browser here on the left has already updated to 1. So let's add some content into it. All right. So this user here on the left might have seen this notification either directly or because it got rejected in a workflow, for example. So he gets back to this page. He opens up. He sees this annotation. So it got inserted, even though in this case I never reloaded the page. So let's actually add our own annotation to respond to that. So I'm going to add one. I'm going to change the color. And see that on the right side, it already got inserted. And it refreshes directly. This is very real time. So if you move this around, it updates right away. The same thing, by the way, also works for sketches. You might have seen this feature before, but you can draw these sketches in annotations. Same thing here. I can draw a sketch, I can move it around, and you see it refreshing pretty much instantaneous. So much for the demo. I hope I could show you a little bit how from multiple browsers you can work on the same page without losing anything, without any risk of concurrency issues between the authors, and even to increase the collaboration between them. Let's look behind the scenes and talk about some of the technical aspects of this AEM authoring extension. An important point to note is that you don't need to modify your code or your content to use these features. They're just added to the authoring UI. It runs on AEM as a cloud service as well as 6.5, and any modern version of the listed browsers here are fine to use. The extension doesn't change any of the out-of-the-box code. It simply uses JavaScript events and the JavaScript APIs to integrate into the UI. The functionality of the framework is realized through events, so either browser-triggered events based on user interactions in the authoring UI, or server-side events when it comes to updating. It does support clustering, which is important for AEM as a cloud service, and the real-time aspect is achieved by pushing events from the server to the browser. To achieve this very quick feedback between multiple browsers, different connection patterns are used. There is an AJAX call that sends user interactions directly to the server. So for example, when you lease a component, events are pushed from the server to the browser real time. There is no polling involved. And a beacon is used to capture the user leaving the page. This service and eventing feature isn't commonly used with AEM, so let's look into that a bit more closer. It's a feature supported by modern browsers, and it consists of an HTTP GET request, which is not returned immediately, but instead kept open, and the server spools events through that stream. Let's look at a few use cases and how the framework uses these technologies. A user is requesting a lease on a component. This triggers an event that is shared across the cluster. The lease is now kept on both of the AEM instances in the cluster. All other users that have this page open will receive a push event that this image component has been leased by this user. The extension will then, in the browser of these users, update the authoring UI to indicate that this component is leased. Continuing this use case, the user now closes the dialog and updates the component. Because it's a normal content update, this change is visible to both author instances. On each instance, a JCR event for that update is triggered. Because the component has been updated, it is automatically released. All users on this page will receive a push event that triggers a refresh of this component within the page. No page refresh is involved. The same applies for addition of components or move operations or even deletes. If you want to give it a try in your own project, it's really easy to do so. Again, you don't need to change any of your code. This is completely non-intrusive. You only need to install the extension as a CRX package in your AEM author instance. The easiest way to do that is by adding it as a Maven dependency in your project structure and then embedding that dependency in your UI apps or all project. Of course, you can also simply upload and install it manually in your instance. Instructions for the Maven integration, including other configuration, you can find at the GitHub project. The whole extension is available as open source. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Hopefully, some of the insights and approaches shown can become useful for your AEM projects. Thank you for your time.
Wow, once again, great presentation by Matthias. I see quite a bit of content out there in the chat pod. So Josh is up next. So Josh, if you want to click in and say hi to everyone. What's that? Anyway, Josh, nice to see you. Good morning. I know where you're at in the world.
Good morning.
You're a close time zone. So what are we going to see today?
Yeah, hey everyone. So I'm Joshua Zeltman, and I'm going to be talking about presenting on the fastest and most flexible way to build AEM websites using Quick Sites, a new feature for AEM, and our Easy AEM site template.
It should also be known that Josh was the winner of the Create Your Own Site Template contest and got automatic entry into the AEM Rock Star event this year. So congratulations, Josh. And Heather, let's cue it up.
Hey there, I'm Joshua Zeltman with Headwire.com, and I'm going to show you some of the exciting new features of AEM Quick Sites using Headwire's new Easy AEM site template. AEM Quick Sites allows authors to create new websites from AEM site templates without the help of a developer. They use core components to provide rich authoring experience to build dynamic and engaging websites. As part of the Create Your Own Site Template contest, Headwire created the competition-winning Easy AEM site template. The Easy AEM site template is powered by the utility styles of Tailwind CSS combined with the AEM style system. This enables limitless creativity and customization for authors and unprecedented control of your AEM websites. Authors can control the look and feel by composing utility styles to create custom designs without any custom CSS. So whether you need to change the layout, change the background, or add some animation, Easy AEM has it all. Now that you have a basic understanding of Quick Sites and the Easy AEM site template, let's see them in action. We start with a Quick Sites enabled AEM instance, and then we go to Sites. Next, we click Create and Create from Site Template. A Quick Site template comes in the form of a zip file that needs to be imported into AEM. Once it's imported, go ahead and select the site template that you want to use and hit Next. Give your new website a name, and then click Create. Quick Sites will apply the configurations and content within the site template into a new website. Now that our site is created, let's open it up and start exploring. We're greeted with an introduction to the template, followed by some useful information about the website we've just created. As you can see, there are callouts for Easy AEM Studio, page templates, site structure, experience fragments, authoring, and customizing with code. The look and feel of this page has no custom CSS and was built entirely using the utility styles available in the AEM style system. The landing page is meant to be a guide on where to begin and how to get the most out of your new website. So let's check out some of these callouts and learn more. Now let's explore the experience fragments to learn about site header and footer. As you'll notice, they're actually made from other experience fragments. In this case, we're using header example 1. This allows us to choose from one of the pre-configured examples that comes with Easy AEM. Let's check it out. Here on header example 1, we see a preview of the current site header. Clicking on the Edit button will reveal the Variations panel. As we explore the examples, we get an approximation of the look and feel. There's quite a few options to choose from, and we've got plenty of ideas for more to add in the future. The Easy AEM Studio will be home for all of the upgrades, and so be sure to check that out when it's available. I think I like this header example 4, so let's go ahead and return to the header and go ahead and select it. Now, let's go ahead and check out the home page and see it in action and properly rendered. Yeah, I think it looks really great. And best of all, it was easy. Now that we've configured the site header, let's move on and start authoring the homepage. The homepage is using the full width page template, so let's take advantage of that with a full width teaser. So I'm going to configure this with an image that I've already uploaded here, and then I'm going to copy in some content. Great. And then I'm going to go ahead and add an action and link it to the homepage for now. And then we're going to adjust the title to say Learn More. Cool. So we've got this configured, but it doesn't look like much. Let's change that. So let's open up the AEM style system, and let's go ahead and start by changing the image size, and let's make the image size to be 25%. Next, let's go ahead and adjust the image position. I want it to be on the top on small screens but on all other screens, I want it to be on the left. We just had a change in the layout, and great. Now we have the image on the left and our content on the right. Next, let's go ahead and adjust some of the content settings because I think we can make that look better. The space between the content elements, let's go ahead and set that to medium, which will add some space between those elements. Next, let's go ahead and add the padding around the content. And let's do 2XL. I want there to be a lot of space. Great, that looks good. We don't need any space between the content and the image, nor pre-title, title, but let's go ahead and adjust the title font size here, and I think we want it to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, that looks great. Next, let's go ahead and just add some action styles. Let's take this link and let's make it into a button. Cool, that looks good. And we don't have to worry about adjusting the actions alignment, but we could put it in the center if we wanted to, or maybe at the end. I think we're good with the start for now. So I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and preview. Cool, so that looks kind of like what we wanted it to. And let's check it out on the iPhone here, and great, see? It is now on the top on the phone, but it is on the left on the desktop. Awesome. Well, we've got the full width teaser configured, so let's go ahead and move on. Next, let's go ahead and add a big old quote with a background image. So we hop back into edit mode, and let's start by adding a container. To this container, I want to add our background image. Go ahead and drag that in there. We'll change the layout. And on this, let's go ahead and set the background color to dark. And I know we've got a background image, but I'll explain this in a second. Next, let's go ahead and add another container. And to this container, I actually need to make this transparent. Otherwise, the background color will bleed through. Next, let's go ahead and add our text component here for our quote. Now I'm going to copy in some content, and let's go ahead and make that bold and then center it. All right, now let's start styling. So I highlight the text component, and what I want to do is actually make this have a maximum width of medium. That'll center it and keep it from getting too wide. Next, I want to change the font size. I want this to be a big quote. Let's go ahead and make this 2XL. Yeah, that looks great. Okay. Next, I want to go ahead and go on this container, and I want to add some padding. And so what I want to do is go down to the padding section, and I want there to be, let's see here. I want there to be 6 padding on the sides on small screens. I don't want it to get too big there. So let's go ahead and add a horizontal padding of 6, not on all screens, my bad, on small screens. So that way when it's on a small screen, it won't get too much space on the side. Next, let's go ahead and add a lot of padding everywhere else. So let's go ahead and go down here to 24. That's our biggest padding option that we've got. And so what we want to do is add our vertical padding on all screens to 24. So now that gets us a big space around it. It looks really cool, yeah? So the next thing I want to do is actually, I really like this. So what we're going to do is we have a blur beneath option. And so what this will do is actually blur the background. How cool is that? Next, let's go ahead and add another filter to the parent container. But this time, instead of blurring, let's go ahead and use this background color and do something with it. And what we can do is we can change the background image blend mode. I think I want to use soft light here, or do I want to use overlay? They both look nice. There's some options to choose from, but I think multiply looks the best. Great, so now let's go ahead and check that out. Oh, that looks really cool. So we have our header and our full width teaser, and now we've got our big quote here. And then if we check it out on the phone, like I said, there's the small spacing on the side, so we've got the big spacing on the top. I think it looks pretty good. So for now, I think that looks great. Let's go ahead and move on. Now let's explore some of the layout options that come with Easy AEM. Let's jump back into edit mode and start by adding a container. Then I'm going to show you a cool trick that comes with AEM, and you can actually copy content between different pages. So let's go ahead and paste this in here, and we're going to add 2 more, and I'll show you why in a second. Next, let's go ahead and start styling this. I want to start by setting the maximum width on this, so that way that these items don't expand the full width of the page. Next, let's go ahead and set the display mode be CSS grid. Next, we're going to add the gap settings. The gap is the space between the elements. So we want this to actually be a gap 6 on all screens. And great, there you see the space now between them. Next, let's go ahead and set the columns. And what I'd like is for this to be 1 column on small screens, and then for it to be 3 columns on every other screen size. Awesome, that's already set up. Next, let's go ahead and add some vertical padding in here. So we jump down to the padding section. And again, I want this to be different on small screens versus big screens. That way that when you're on your phone, it's not taking up too much space. So on small screens, let's go ahead and add 8. And then on big screens, let's go ahead and add, let's call it 16. And 16 all screen vertical. Great, and there you go. You can see our padding around our image. Let's go ahead and preview. Great, I think it looks really nice. And then on the phone, and you can see it's stacking, it has less space vertically. Yeah, I think it looks really nice. So that was just a quick exploration of using the different layout options that come with Easy AEM. Now that we've got our page authored, I wanted to show you one of my favorite features of Easy AEM. It's animations. So let's go ahead and start with this teaser. And I want it to fall in from the top. So let's go ahead and set our animation to fade in and fade from the top. And I also want to make this animation last a little longer. The normal duration is 300 milliseconds, but I want 500. Let's go ahead and move on. The text component, I want this to look like it's falling into the page. So we'll go ahead and use zoom out. And then next, I want these to all come from the bottom and look like they're staggered. So we'll move these to fade in bottom, and then we'll add a delay on these other ones. Fade bottom, and then delay 150. Yeah, that looks good. Next, we'll go ahead and add this one and add 300. So that way this will be the last one to come in. Now, as you saw, there's some layout issues that happen with the author mode, and hopefully this is something that gets resolved in the future. So for now, we'll go ahead and view this in view as published mode. So hey, you see that come in, you see this fall in, now you see these all pop up in a staggered way. I think it looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and give this a quick refresh so you can see it again. But I think this is one of my favorite features. I think it adds a lot of polish to your page. And we did all of this pretty easily, all without any custom CSS. So that just shows some of the power of the authoring mode in the utility styles that we have with Easy AEM. As we've seen, Easy AEM comes with many styling options out of the box. But we know you'll want to do your own customizations as well. Another great feature of Quick Sites is the separation of the front-end code into its own deployable pipeline. So let's get started by downloading the theme sources and checking out the code. After we've unzipped the theme sources, we see the code structure for the project. There's a helpful README file to get you started customizing your code. We want to change the branding, so let's go ahead and jump into the Tailwind configuration file. The majority of the customization has already been done in the Easy AEM preset. So let's go ahead and extend the colors and update with our branding. I've gone ahead and updated the root, the primary, and secondary colors with the colors that we want. Next, we just need to run the npm run live command, which will allow us to preview our changes before pushing them to the AEM environment. Back in our AEM environment, let's make a quick change to the header so our color changes are a bit more visible. Let's switch to header example 7, which uses the primary and secondary colors that we just changed. Now back on our homepage, we see the new header in action with the primary and secondary colors, but these are the old colors. So let's switch to the live preview to see our code changes in action. Here we are on our live preview, and as you can see, our code changes have worked. Now we're matching the branding just like we wanted to. Now all that's left to do is run the build pipeline and deploy the code. We've covered a lot in this presentation. We learned about quick sites and the Easy AEM site template. We saw some of the great header and footer examples that ship with Easy AEM, along with a plethora of utility styles that let you customize your website to your heart's content. We saw how easily you can customize the code for an even more tailored look and feel. We've got a lot more we're excited to share, like Easy AEM Studio, tooling for managing the style system, presets, utility styles, Header and footer options, we've got more. But Headwriter isn't an agency, so we're looking for partners to collaborate with and make the lives of our AEM customers a bit easier. If that sounds something like you're interested in, connect with us to learn more. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Darren, is that?
Yes, we
Can you
can.
hear me okay? Oh, thanks, Jim. So thank you, everybody, for great presentations. I appreciate everybody's time. This isn't easy. For now, Heather, can I ask you to open the poll, please? And for all the audience members, right above the Q&A pod on the right, there's a button with a bar chart on it. That's the poll. You get to pick the winners. I would also ask everybody to post their questions. If they haven't been answered already, there's a lot of activity in the Q&A pod already. If you haven't asked your question, please go ahead and ask it. And now I would like to hand it over to Jean-Michel, who most of you probably already know is the VP of our AEM engineering team. And he's been our sponsor since year one and a staunch supporter of this. So take it away, Jean-Michel.
Thanks, Koshal. You make me blush. So I'm as red as sort of this AEM Rock Star t-shirt. So again, welcome and thanks all of you for taking out the time out of your busy schedule to spend it together with us on here. And fortunately, I'm not going to talk about my code. Don't do that anymore. But it is still cool to see the many hundreds of folks who have registered and are here live, or maybe you're watching this in the recording. Don't know. Now, first and foremost, I hope that all of you are safe in these special times, and I am looking forward when we can meet again in person. That's a little bit more engaged directly. It's a little bit more fun. AEM has undergone a substantial transformation from being on-premise solution in the beginning over to managed services and now cloud service. Do you know that now as a cloud service, we're about 200 to 300 times faster to get the innovation in our customers' hands? And this is where you, the developers, you, our partners, are coming in because you are helping them to that joint success, to leverage those to our joint success and enabling their business through Experience Manager. Very impressive presentations that we had, very impressive implementations. And I'm super excited about all of your work. As always, this is quite a humbling situation for me, because I'm seeing all of you spend time on AEM. Well, my work, my team's work. And so again, a heartfelt thanks for all of your time that's there. Now, Koshal, have we had enough time to get more Q&A? Any more dynamic there, or do you want to do another call out? Any questions? Bring them in now.
I don't see any new questions posted, and I don't see any unanswered questions either. So,
okay. So how are we doing on the poll? Do we have, or should I maybe give a quick perspective on sort of the three from my side, Koshal?
Go ahead and provide your perspective, JM. We'll leave the poll open until you're done, and then I'll do a countdown, and we'll close the poll, and you can announce the winners.
Sounds like a plan. So I think very exciting presentations, as I said. I think on the first, Cham and Shobit, I think the core Web Vitals. For those of you that aren't familiar, at least you've seen a peek here, do spend some time on it. I think it is important for our common customers. I think you will see the exceptional experience feature in the cloud service that will help our customers and will help you to point it out to the customer that it's also coming from AEM. It helps their SEO and time spent on site. Matthias, very great job on sort of showing how with collaboration you can unlock the author. And I think one of the comments, somebody said it could even be for developers. Love it, really cool. Josh, I thought AEM was easy, but you made it look even more easy. So great to see the innovation that we as a group can help our customers get to. And I'm very excited that now we can do this as a cloud service. And with that, let me give it over to you, Koshal, to see whether we start the count out.
Okay, so we'll close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heather, oh, there it is. Jean-Michel, you should be able to see the winner on the right now.
Ooh, is it Shan? Is it Josh? Is it Matthias? Now we don't know. Drum roll. Matthias, congratulations. You look like a winner. Every one of you is a winner, and I appreciate again working on AEM. So a heartfelt thanks from me. A heartfelt thanks for watching. Keep the questions coming. If you have anyone, send them to the team. Send them to me personally, jmp@adobe.com. Congratulations again, Matthias.